We all have about 70,000 plus thoughts a day. That's right, a day. And a lot of those thoughts are going to be stuck on what can I control? What can I not control? I don't like not being able to be in control. And how do I manage it? Because it's eating away at everything that I do in my life. Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to episode 69 of the Positivity Experience. Releasing control, baby.
Check it out.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 69 of the Positivity Experience. It is your girl, Lori, and we are here another week. Man, I wanted to give you guys a massive shout out, especially my very new friend, Alex, who I know listens to this on the Long Island Railroad going to work. Love you. Thank you so much for your amazing, kind words. She had such amazing words to say, and she's just killing the game out there. So a huge, massive shout out to you. And you know, guys, I do have finally some good news about that other podcast, the paid podcast that will kind of complement this one. And that's going to start, I'm going to do kind of the bigger announcement next week because I was going to hope to launch it the first week of May. And it's going to be something that's going to give you the opportunity, if you choose, you don't have to, this podcast isn't going anywhere. This one is just an add-on podcast. It's like more of like a Patreon type thing where you'll have the opportunity to get one extra episode a week that will be kind of like a workbook or something to complement whatever it is that we're talking about that week. So it'll give you a little bit more tools and it's just going to be really cool. I'm not going to tell you the name yet, but it will give you the opportunity to do that. But yay, I finally got it all done. Not done. I don't have anything done for it, but I have everything that I needed to get done, the naming and all of that stuff. So now that I have that done, I'll be able to give that to you. And it's going to be really good. Like I said, it's just going to be able to complement it. And the price of that will actually help offset all of the bandwidth because anybody who does a podcast knows it's not free. And I have been really good about keeping most sponsors kind of like at bay at the moment. This does not mean I will never have sponsors on here. That would be lying to you. But right now, I'm trying to keep it really free of that for you. So that will just help me offset those prices. So today, this is a really well sought out topic. And it's actually one of my favorites because it really aligns the answers to this that you guys seek. It's going to align with everything that you've heard me talk about. Nothing today, nothing. So I already know this. Nothing today is going to be revolutionary new. It's not. It might be revolutionary. It's not going to be new. It's going to be things that we talk about all the time. And it's funny because control is the biggest thing that probably all of my clients, I won't even say some, all, and myself included. I think in general, as humans, I think there's a certain level of, oh my gosh, if I'm out of control, oh my God, this is terrible. And especially when you throw in trauma, anxieties, depressions, OCD, emotional deregulation, yes, you can throw in a lot of things and it makes it even harder to give up control. So keep in mind, little PSA here, I am not diagnosing anyone on here. I am simply telling you the art of releasing control. If you are struggling with OCD, if you're struggling with anxieties, this does not mean that you cannot do it. I do not allow for people to get in your headspace about whatever your diagnosis is and then saying, I can't do this because of said thing emotionally, right? If you're physically incapable, I validate it. But when it comes to this part, it doesn't even matter about the physical part. This is all emotional and mental. And it's going to be something that you kind of have to be prepared for if it's something that you do want to do. Because to give up control, I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable, to forgive people, to move on from things. And I understand that can be very flippant. Like, what do you mean move on from it? That's a move on attitude. Well, yeah, that's how I'm able to still be on this planet. Because if I stayed in it, it wouldn't have been pretty. Okay. So the get over it sort of attitude comes with healing. It's not so much get over it like it didn't matter to you. But when you get used to the healing side of it and you're doing the work in the healing aspect of it, releasing it and getting over it. I'm over here in quotations like you can see me. That's ridiculous. That you can see me. When you get there, that's going to be better than anything you'll ever have in your entire life. So it depends, like if you get defensive when people tell you to get over something, and I don't mean from a gaslighty perspective, just more or less even in your headspace, or if you feel as though that's being said, when you get triggered, that's also thinking that you're in control, but you're not. So I want to talk a little bit about that, right? Because again, trauma can exacerbate it, but in general, just being a human, when you feel out of control or you feel like you don't know the outcome, you want to harness it. And control is ego. Okay. And I know people always are like, oh my God, ego. What do you mean? I had trauma. Okay. Doesn't matter how you got there. It can be intentional or unintentional. It's still rooted in your ego. And I told you, we'll do I have it on my list, a whole different podcast on ego, both your id, and we did in the past, but I want to go deeper, like your id, your super ego, and your ego, and how they all bridge and what that looks like. But at the end of the day, releasing control is where you have freedom. Now, for some of you, you're going, and I'd been there before, been there and lived it, bought the shirt, highly don't recommend the visit, right? Is when you're refusing to give up control and worrying about somebody winning, again, quotations over here, winning, let them win the day. I have said this before. Do you want to win or do you want to be right? I'm sorry, that's wrong. Do you want to win and be right, or do you want to release and be happy? Win and be right, or release and be happy. They don't live in the same place. Okay? You can't be right and win, because to you, your right is your right, but to somebody else, your right is wrong. And you can argue that topic all day long. I mean, if you turn on the news for more than 5 minutes, if you want to argue politics, if you want to argue the pandemic, if you want to argue why do people do things, look, you can do that and just throw your energy currency right out the window, because energy is a currency. You might as well throw money out the window. If that's what you choose to do, understand that by not knowing and not allowing that other people are allowed a totally different belief system, and it doesn't have to make sense to you, until you accept that, that is releasing control. Until you can accept that people operate different, people parent different, people vote different, people look at the pandemic different, until you can get to that space to where you go, okay, I know what does me. Good Lord. I know how to do me. You know how to do you. And then that's where your boundaries are. So if you know that whatever somebody's talking about doesn't really align with you, you're like, okay, that's opposite of what I believe in. That's opposite of how I want to live my life. Valid. Then don't rock with those people. Yes, this includes family. I say this to you all the time. If your mom is coming down on you super hard, and let's say she's super strict and she has a super hard belief in something and you don't, why are you going to keep arguing it, or why are you going to keep subjecting yourself to that? Family does not get a free pass. Okay. But again, that's control. That's you trying to control the narrative. However, you're being controlled by what you think you're being controlled of. Okay. So let me explain. If you think that blocking things and like putting up walls and everything protects you, it does. It also imprisons you. The things that you think that you are controlling control you. If you're like, that's right, I blocked that person and I did it out of spite. Block people just to protect your peace. Don't block people. Like if people come trolling on socials or whatever, just block them. There's no need to donate any emotional to that. If you're blocking and like, oh, that's annoying, and block and keep moving, great. But if you block someone and then 2:00 in the morning, you're going, that's right, I blocked you. See, you think that you just control that narrative. Nope. That person's out living their best life, whatever that may be looking for them. And you are left at 2:00 in the morning going, yeah, I hope they see how dirty they did me. Why are you holding on to that? You're allowed your feelings. I'm not asking you not to feel those feelings. But I'm reminding you that the more you think that you are in control of the narrative of somebody apologizing to you and saying that you're right and making you feel better, the more that you think that you're doing that, the less actual self-love you have. See, you think, oh my God, I am loving myself by protecting myself. Not by a wall, you're not. Boundaries, yes. Walls, no. When you put a wall up that is so like, that's never happening to me again. Nope, I'll never get hurt in a relationship again. Oh God, that's a wall. And it's a normal reaction. Don't live there. Don't live there. If you had a bad relationship with Bob, okay, don't bring Bob into the relationship with Tom. Tom's not Bob, right? And again, the lack of control and release of control, not lack of control, the releasing of control is something that I had to learn. And the control part for me has always, and this is the one that like is always sort of on the back burner, not boiling, low simmer, nothing crazy, kind of keep it at bay. Every now and again, it starts to bubble a little bit. And I'm like, nah, you turn that down a little bit. This is old thought process. See, when you're dealing with your trauma, even after you heal it, you're not forgetting it. It's still there. Every now and again, a thought will come in about that trauma or about that fear of whatever it is. Remember, fear is false evidence appearing real, but it's still real to you, right? So when that fear creeps in from time to time, you know, and so to speak, like the water on the back burner starts to bubble a little bit, you have to go, okay, remember, you're here now. So your fears that you worried about in the past, even though that negative experience happened and you experienced something, and yes, that's like a PTSD response, do not allow yourself to carry that into every part of your life. And I'll give you an example. Like I said, I always have this one thing that, two, really one, and I'll tell you in a second. So is safety and security, right? Because, you know, the backstory with me is, you know, staying in a van after mom passed, you know, the molestation, not really knowing much about money and or not having a lot of money, like just safety and security, right? And then, you know, fast forward ahead, then when Bugsy and I moved in with Kay and Steve after I got divorced and was here and then was trying to get just a whole bunch of stuff was going on, right? So I had to lean on Kay and Steve. And so that was a thing where I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have to go back to that. If you live in that fear, if you think that you're fighting to not go back there, that's beautiful. That's inspiration. If, however, you're doing that out of desperation to try to control the narrative so you don't go back there, it is controlling you. Now, money is controlling you. Your fear of not having money is in complete control of you. Your fear over not being able to release that because you want to try something new. And I'm not asking you to go like, well, you could. I was saying, I'm not asking you to go sell your stuff and move to Mexico and sell shells. But I mean, you could. It's been known to happen. You could. But what I'm saying is if you get caught up in the fear of that safety and security, you won't take risks. You won't try something new. You'll sit there and worry about money 24/7. That is now fully controlling you. And like I said, that's the one that's for me, it's just a pot of water. Sits on low simmer, you know, enough to be like, oh, okay. But when I feel it start to do a low little bubble boil, I go, oh, no. We're going to have to notch this down. And then I have to come back into my mindfulness space. Which, by the way, is going to be, we're going to talk about like the steps to kind of stay in and let it go in control here in a moment. But I'm giving you the idea or the concepts of the things in which you're trying to control. You're trying to control another person. You're trying to control how they feel. You're trying to control how they think. That's all rooted in ego. Ego. Okay. So again, now, like I said in the trailer or in the beginning after the trailer, is remember, this isn't going to be groundbreaking, but unless you implement it and you accept that releasing control is a win for you, if other people go, ha, I knew I'd win. I got over on you. Yes, baby, you win. Congratulations. Here's your gold medal. Why? Ego tells you you're not allowed to let them win. Why not? Let them win. Because at the end of the day, you're winning. Let them go, do whatever it is that they do, whatever it is that they feel like they won, but you've now released that toxicity. And the thing that helped me was more of the Buddhist practicing that I do is staying present. Accepting that all of these things in your life, including your life, are temporary. Your life is temporary, baby. You are temporary. Your existence on the planet is temporary. Your house, temporary. Car, temporary. Relationships, temporary. Children, temporary. When you get a clear understanding that we own nothing, you can have attachments, you know, like healthy attachments, I should say, like energetic attachments, but not in a bad way, not codependency. Yeah, that's great. That's how you foster and love your relationships, because you are in clear knowledge that you don't own anyone. You don't own anyone. They don't own you. When you get clear that you are here for lessons, whatever those lessons are, I am not God. I cannot tell you that. But whatever those lessons are, that's what you're here to do. But it's temporary. When you get clear in that, you appreciate things more. If I gave you a private jet for a week, said, hey, everybody, this is your private jet. Oh, and by the way, I'm giving you $5 million too. Listen, you don't get to carry the money with you. You can't go buying houses. You just got to have fun on this plane. Go travel wherever for a week. You are going to have a really good time. You are going to have so much fun. You're going to be dancing. You're going to be celebrating. Life's going to be great. You're going to be flying all over the place. You're going to appreciate it. Now, let's say you own that private jet. You start to just expect yourself, okay, I'm going to pull up here, walk on that cute little red carpet. I'm going to get, I don't know. I only see things on Instagram. I don't have a private plane yet. I might one day, don't right now. But you go get on that. You've now lost sort of that gratitude for this private jet because what's the big deal? You got to do that. Now you start going, oh God, now I got to pay for the gas. Now I got to pay for that. Now the thing that you just enjoyed when it was temporary has now become a burden in some ways. When you realize that everything in your life is temporary, your gratitude journals will flourish. You will start going through multiple gratitude journals. When you start to realize that material things, you don't own them. They're there. You're not taking them with you. They're temporary. When you get clear there, the grudges, you can hold that all day long. The person and everything is temporary. When you get clear in that, again, it's a daily practice for me. It's just part of my spiritual practice. But for some of you, it isn't. But I'm just telling you, that's going to be one of the biggest foundations of releasing control. Is it to accept that when you are not codependent, which again, we'll do something on codependency, but when you're not so codependent, and it doesn't even matter about a person, not even codependency on a person, codependent on, my safe space. We all love to have a little safe space and a grounding space. That's great. But when you get married to it, you're attaching something to it as though it's a permanent thing, temporary. Okay. So your first goal is to get clear in this. And again, I practice this every day. So I don't think you're going to listen to this and then be like, okay, cool, everything's temporary. And it can be triggering because there's an acceptance piece. Remember, in order to release control, you must accept that you don't have control. Got your mindset, you do control that. Your perception, you control that. So if you look at something negatively, that's your perception. You can look at the same exact thing with a positive spin on it. So it really is that. That's the only thing that you're in control of. Okay? The only thing. So when you're clear in that, you do the best you can with what you have towards any goal or anything that you're trying to, help on. But you're not controlling the narrative. Okay? So, if you can't buy something because you don't have the money for it, you work towards the money. If you can't buy something because you don't have the credit for it, you work on clearing the credit. Right? So you have to look for the solution in the situation. When you do that, the mindset now shifts from being out of control to what can I control? And that is the key there, right? Of course, taking the leap of faith. You have to, unless you're willing to embrace the unknown, you will never release control. To embrace the unknown is to be like, I've gotten this far. I will figure out how to survive it. If I fall, okay, I'll get up, put Band-Aids on. No, not to do that again. If you are not willing to face the unknown without knowing what that is where you have to just parlay right there. Don't try to do all these tips at one time. That's ridiculous. You will fail and crash and burn. Because first and foremost, before we even go further, you have to go back to the first one and understanding everything's temporary. Right? Now, you can start to incorporate other things, doing your gratitude journal, the 5 journals. There's a 6-minute video, 6.5-minute video on my YouTube, The Positivity Experience, just like the podcast. It's on YouTube, and it's about 6.5 minutes. It tells you about those 5 journals. Okay, this is where that writing comes into play. This is where that negative journal is so freaking important because you're able to process the things that you can't control if you let yourself do it. Don't look at this as a chore. Journaling is not a freaking chore. Journaling is a gift that you're giving yourself. Yes, I know there's 5. Yes, I know there's a lot, but there's a lot in your head. So this is imperative because until you're able to process your feelings, you're going to live with it in your head. No. Okay, remember, you are not your mind. You are not your mind. When you get distance from your mind, you're able to get out of the control factor. I mean, that's just a fact. If you're married to your mind and you're married to the thoughts that what you think is 100% right, oh boy, fluid. Think fluid. Think wave. Think ride the wave. Not so, here's a wall and this is how it is. And that's why you want to reevaluate what your limited beliefs are, because we all carry certain levels of limited belief. And some were given us to our family, from our family or society or something. And you have to say, okay, where do I believe that? And where do I not believe that? Right? And that's what you got to get clear on. Okay. So remember, everything is temporary. And like I said, doing your journaling. You know, if you're like, I don't feel like doing your journaling. Okay. Well, do you feel like feeling the way you feel? Okay. Then decide which level of hard that you want to go to. And this is where, and here's the magic pill, the magic button of releasing control, is mindfulness meditation, right? And I just kind of am hesitant on that because mindfulness meditation, you can have different levels of meditation, silent meditation, mantra meditation, active meditation. And that's how you stay in the present moment. If you are not willing to practice mindfulness, you will never release control. Because when you realize and accept, this is the acceptance, lowering the ego, thing here, where you're taking the leap of faith into the unknown. See how these are all tying together? Of all of the things and all of my content leads you to, same thing. Trying to get you to release control. Trying to get you in that place of now. And I tell you, like I said, I already have it geared up to do another 15, 20-minute meditation on YouTube. I have one out there already. It's 15 minutes. It's on my YouTube out there. But if you don't give yourself that time to accept the time that has already went by is dead and gone. That time that you're holding on to is a memory. You're not holding on to time. You're holding on to a memory. And this is proven. As years go on, as time goes on, your brain starts to fill in the story to different things. And it almost starts to rearrange the story in some ways. Not necessarily rewriting it. Just sometimes it's harder to actually remember what that was. It's a memory. That time is dead and gone. It's never coming back. Now, looking forward, that time hasn't even presented itself. So you can't take the experience that you had and automatically just chunk that right all the way over into there. You just can't do that. I mean, we do it all day long. I'm not saying you can't do it. You do it pretty well, like a profession. But mindfulness is always going to come. Mindfulness, accepting that things are temporary. It's imperative. Now, in combination with that is also your breath work. Breath work is something you're in control of. The key to accepting and releasing control is to accept and practice and nurture what you can. Okay, I'll repeat that again. Change up the word a little bit because I forgot exactly what I said. ADHD brain. Hello, welcome ADHD friends. So here's the thing with that. Okay, remember that when you are in a space of thinking, I am not in control of blah, blah, blah things, and spiraling out of control and feeling like I'm in control of nothing, I want you to pause. You take some breaths, right? And I want you to focus on what can you control and nurture it, right? So if you're like, I really want to take that trip to Hawaii, okay, great. And you go, oh my God, it's going to take me forever. Like, I got to save up all this money to get to Hawaii. It's so freaking expensive. Okay, wow. Okay. Are you going to be like, wow, okay, I'm not sure how to get there? Well, you're going to feel like it's completely out of control. You're going to be like, it's not in my control. It is in your control. In that case, it is. How to get there is, are you going to cut your Dunkin' in the morning? What are you going to do to say? Like, stop looking and going, I can't do it and I'm out of control. This is out of my hands. I can't do it. Or grab a hold of it. It depends on how you're going to look at it. What part of that are you in control of? If you're in a job that you can't stand, in a relationship or a relationship that you can't stand, are you going to say, well, this sucks because I don't have a way out. I rely on this job for money. Or in my marriage, what am I going to do? I can't go live on my own. Okay, cool. You know this. So we know where the problem is. We got it. Now, where's your solution? I don't know. I don't have one. Okay, well, research it. Well, I don't know where to start. Exactly. So start there. That's what I'm saying. To release control is to nurture the things that you have control over. If you're worried about someone's social media and who they're following, you don't have control over that. I do. I could go on and have them, unfollow that person. Okay, wow. That's a really great way to have a relationship. No. Okay, what are you in control of? Hey, if I'm uncomfortable with this situation, even if this person ever did me dirty, clearly maybe it's just something that either I don't want to be in a relationship right now or I don't need to be in a relationship right now while I work on this to accept that I have no control over this person. This is the beauty of mindset shift. Same situation, different lens. The beauty of it. I mean, this is beautiful. Your mindset is something that you have control over every day. Yes, even in your anxiety. Yes, even in that. Okay, because again, if in an anxiety attack, as a person who's had them all their life, like I said, luckily I don't have to deal with that too much anymore. I do a lot of my grounding work. A lot of other things that I do has been very helpful. So, but if you are going, oh my God, I'm out of control. The anxiety is taking me over, right? Lived it. Like I said, I would go to the hospital all the time, once, if not 3 times a week. Got my Ativan or my Valium, or I wouldn't even need to do that. I would get there and then all of a sudden I'd be like, I feel a little bit better. Placebo effect, right? But you can say, oh my God, I got to try to control it. I got to try to control it. Remember this, in every area, what you control, what you think you control when it's external, controls you. So if you think you're controlling that anxiety attack, that's laughable. That thing is controlling you left and right. That fear, that phobia is contributing. You're like, I don't want to deal with that, which is why in my practice, in my private practice where I see clients, and I do that all over the world. You guys have the links. It's here in the bio, in the show description, is, I don't allow for that fear to stop you. If you're like, oh my God, it's going to give me anxiety. Okay, good. Let it. I encourage that anxiety to come. What are you, crazy? No. Why are you giving this anxiety power over you? Let it come. It's trying to tell you something. Yeah, it's trying to tell me I'm not safe. No. Remember, anxiety doesn't know if you're being chased by lions or if you're having an irrational thought. If you sit with it and you let it come, even in that awful feeling of like you're dying, okay, even in that feeling, sit with it. When you embrace the things that you fear, it loses control over you. But how do you do that? Release the need to control. And you're like, okay, well, how? I'm telling you how. I'm giving you the Holy Grail. This is free. I'm giving you a free way that you can release things. I can't make you do it. And if you go, oh my God, it's so hard. I don't want to hear it because life in general is hard. So you're going to have to choose, do you want it to be hard initially to have a fulfilling life? Or do you want to avoid that hard and stay where you are? That is a question to ask yourself and not a question that anybody else can answer. Okay? Yes, it's supposed to be hard. Okay, nature is another one. Nature is another one. Having that there, what is bringing you joy? And I don't mean joy just like, oh, okay, I'm on TikTok and I'm on YouTube and okay, great, awesome. We have all been there, done that. I'm extremely strict with my social media time. I treat myself not probably. I am way more restricted on myself than anybody when it comes to social media because it can be a dangerous zone of a time suck, and I just don't want to do that, right? It's easy to get lost. But if you say, oh my God, I just can't help it. No, you're choosing not to. Do not, when it comes to social media addiction, do not tell me you can't do it. Yes, it's a real addiction. You can do it. You have to choose to do it. And then if you're stuck with fear of missing out, okay, again, what are you in control of? Your breath, your breathing, going out into nature, looking at what you do good, what you are in control of, and nurture it. And this is the important part of what brings you joy. I mean joy, not just like where you're like, okay, this is great. I feel good. This is 20 minutes. I'm done. I mean where you lose track of time. You start, like that's how I am with my crochet. I'd be like, damn, why is my wrist? Wow, my shoulder starts hurting. I'm like, man, what's wrong with me? And I look at the clock. I'm like, oh, probably because I've been crocheting for the last 6.5 hours. But I lose track of time. If you don't know what brings you joy to lose track of time, try new things. Don't be like, oh my God, it's terrible. I don't. No. We're not going down that road. Try new things. Try new things. Well, what if? No, we're not doing that. That's control again. And you got to understand that you have to figure out a purpose for self. Okay. Now let me explain what I mean by that. I don't mean you have to have one purpose and one purpose only. And that's something I need you to understand. Having a purpose is not a purpose. It's purposes with a main overlier, right? So you have like an overlier and then you have all of your subsidiaries. So you have to first get clear with what you like. Okay, I'll give you an example because you're like, this is where that other podcast that I talked to you about is going to be really helpful because it's going to expand a little bit more on this part of it. So that's kind of what I'm saying when I say it complements it. But in this case, I'm going to try to give you an overview on it. Like for me, okay, I'm going to give you like the hierarchy. So in my profession, I'm an alternative practitioner. I'm a life and health coach. I'm an energy, I do energy work. I'm a mindful expert, but expert means you have 10,000 plus hours in something. I'm a mindful expert teaching people how to be mindful. I'm literally like Target, right? You go into Target and you think, I'm going to talk to you about energy crystals. And now you're on aisle 17 and we're dissecting your childhood. You know what I mean? So that for me, I never wanted to do one thing. You are a foot doctor. Okay, well, now I can't go do anything else but be a foot doctor. Crap. And that's the whole reason why, as I started to go down the psychiatry route and psychology, psychiatrist, and it was psychologist, I was like, wow. And then as I was going through my own healing, I still wanted to have educational training, but I didn't want it to be just focused in one area. And, some people like that, by the way. If you like that, then you can work on one purpose. For me, however, I want to be able to do a lot of different things, but here's the hierarchy of the umbrella, okay, is providing empowerment and releasing. That's literally the top of everything that I do. What it all drills down to is providing empowerment and releasing what no longer serves you. That's literally my tagline motto, right? And, and that's the thing, empower and release. But in every area that I work, that's exactly what it leads up to. So before you can find your purpose, you must first find what it is that you want to really drill it down, right? Here's good, right? This is what you are in control on. This is now what you're in control of. Instead of saying, oh my God, I don't know what that is. I'm terrible. What's wrong with me? Okay, negative mindset. We ain't doing that. This is where you're in control. Because if you say, I don't know, I can't do that, now you've given that control. Same exact thing, except for you go, I don't really know what that is. I'm going to have to start figuring it out. I think let me try something new. Let me really sit with myself. Let me journal. I don't need to know this today. Let me journal on it. Let me sit with it. But for me, when you drill everything down out of everything that I do, right? Even the mindfulness is to release what no longer serves you. Okay? Stepping into your own power, that's empowerment. That's why both of those things are my tagline. I empower people while allowing them to release what no longer serves you. That's literally a copywritten tagline. Okay? So you have to understand that for me, once I had that, that's just the umbrella. All the little spider webs that come off the umbrella are all rooted up to that. But I have various places that I do different things. I am not an energy that can be contained in one direction because that's just not, as an energy being and as a person who does what I do, there's no way I could focus just in like, oh, this is all I do. Like it just wouldn't work for me. But again, for you, it might. You don't have to be like me. Okay? Find you. So drill down. You may say, I want people to have beautiful teeth. I love the way teeth look. Like, that's a big thing for me. If somebody's teeth is janky, it's not my jam, but I love teeth. I want to make sure people understand that gum health is related to heart health, right? Great. Then you would put, dental education. This does not mean you only have to be this teeth person. Like, you could talk about, why is gum disease related to heart disease? Why, do these things happen in your mouth? Now you can take a different scientific approach, all at the same time, rolling up to this dental stuff. So that's what I'm saying. So while you're struggling with, oh my God, what's this person doing? And what about this job? And what about this money? Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. You are spending so much energy. That's your monkey brain, by the way, critter brain, monkey brain. You are spending so much energy on these things that you cannot control. While you're doing that, you can't be worried about what somebody's social media is. You can't, while you're focusing on what your purposes are, and I say purposes with that hierarchy, right? When you're focusing there, you are solely focused on you and how you can provide a service of some way, which is what we all do in life. You have you as a priority, and the other half of that is to be of service. To be of service. That doesn't mean to be used, be of service. Provide education, provide entertainment, service. So, here is what I'm saying. I want you to get out of the mindset of what can I not do and woe is me and how did I end up here? All valid. I'm not invalidating your feelings. That's also why you have that negative journal. Dump it in there. Validate the hell out of yourself. No one else has to validate you. I really need you to get there. And when you're willing to release the anger towards people, the grudges, the why aren't these people doing said thing? Oh my God, why aren't you focusing on you? If we want to get into the why game, why aren't you focusing on you? I realize I sounded like Jerry Seinfeld right there. I have no idea why. But yeah, that's the thing, right? Is I want you to understand that in order to release control, until you are willing to accept, we're going to do a recap, till you're willing to accept that everything in your life is temporary, including your life, including your relationships. All these things are temporary. Until you are willing to understand that people are not your life rafts. They do not provide you life raft. That's not what people are for. They're also not responsible for your feelings. They create an action and or words, as bad as it is, but you create the emotion to that, not them. Your emotion is no one's responsibility. You can say, well, yeah, it is. If they do this, I hear you. You look and you say, that doesn't work for me. You put the boundary up, you keep it moving. But they're not making you feel it. They created an action. That everybody's emotion is their sole responsibility. Yes, other things influence it. But now that something makes you feel, listen, we're not droids. We are going to have feelings of anger and things like that. That's beautiful. That's what makes humans humans. But if you live there and you get stuck there, that's not helpful. Again, you look for the solution that is in your control. Not the solution is this guy not to be an asshole. Well, yeah, great. Great solution. I'm with you. Okay. But the reality is you're not in control of them. But you're in control of how do they play a role in your life. If your mother, your father, or somebody close to you is super draining on you, why are you entertaining it? Well, because they're my mother. And does that put them in a special category that they're allowed to talk to you anyway? That's what I'm saying. What are you in control of? If you're in a bad situation, what are the steps that you're going to need to get out of it, even if it looks hopeless? It can. Sometimes the hardest things that we ever do in life, you kind of have to find your way. You just kind of are in a maze. Oh, that's a dead end. Let me not do this. So as we're wrapping this up, in order to release control, you must accept that you do have control over certain things. And it may not be the things in which you want. So now you have your homework. And I wanted to give this one to you before next week anyway, because I want you to understand, so an example for the new, not the new podcast, I'll call it the add-on podcast, but it'll be the paid podcast, it'll kind of like we would continue on some actual maybe homework or some steps with it. And so that's what that would kind of entail. But this will always be here, and it goes right to the YouTube anyway. So, but I love you guys so much. Remember, you do have power. You do have control, but merely over your mindset and your perception. You don't have control over time. You don't have control over people. You don't have control over situations. And when you get into that breath work and accept that today and only today and right this second is all you got, it will become so much more free for you. Okay, so now you see what I mean. In order to release control, you have to do the mindfulness. It's a huge part to what I do. And it literally saved my mental health. It probably saved my actual life too. Mindfulness saved my life. So, of course, why would I not do that? Why would I not try to be a professional expert at that? Why not? Because it saved my life. Until you're willing to give up that control, until you are willing to let 2 + 2 be 9 if somebody tells you it is, till you're willing to give up control of how other people see you, don't worry about whatever storyline that they put about you in their book. That's their book. Your story, your life. Until you're willing to hold and harness your stuff, you will be hemorrhaging your energy to everyone and everything around you. Check it out.